Hey, Brian Stevens here, co-founder of K12, where we are working to make sure all these children in the United States are fully educated and ready to be awesome members of society and can crush their lives and do great things, right? And I've been asked, and I've started to dig into this movement called unschooling or free range schooling or no schooling. There's been a lot of different terms about this, and I'm going to dig into this, and I'm going to end reviewing a couple TikTok videos to determine how these unschoolers are doing compared to the science. And so before we get into, me reacting, and I've not watched these videos, by the way. Jackson never lets me watch the videos. He always wants me to just kind of look like a crazy person in how I respond. So first, I want to dig into the actual, the science and the history of unschooling, because this was a term that I was not familiar with at all. I mean, I've heard of hippies in the 60s. I'm not that old, but I know about hippies and communes, and they kind of do collective learning out there in the areas and different things. And that's not what this is. And this is not homeschooling. Homeschooling is, obviously caregivers or parents at home teaching their children with a structured format that has some sort of metrics and systems and a little bit of, a lot of science behind it, but maybe a little bit of testing or limited testing. I haven't done a deep dive into homeschooling, but lots of people do that. And that's cool if you've got the time and the energy, as long as we're getting those children ready for life, that's awesome. And that's what I care about. So the question is, does unschooling get the children ready for life? And so the first thing that I started to do, because I got to admit, man, my first reaction to it was visceral. I thought that this is insane. And I was reminded of an Andy Griffith episode where Andy it's the hobo and Andy. So the Andy Griffith show, this was a Sheriff Andy Taylor. This was in the 60s or something. And the episode was called Opie's Hobo Friend. That was the name of the title. But in it, Andy is explaining to his son, Opie, that children need adults to make important decisions for them. And that's because the children like the experience, right, to make big choices for themselves. And that episode always kind of sat with me because I think about my daughter, and my daughter never really got into trouble, which I find a little frustrating. Maybe a little bit of trouble is okay. But the children, when I was little, I got into lots of trouble. I always wanted to get into mischief. I never wanted to have structured learning. No school. Great. That sounds awesome. Let me go play golf. I skipped a lot of school playing golf. So, and that was not because I didn't have structures, because I was sneaky, right? And so my first reaction to unschooling, which was no scientific basis, just an initial visceral reaction, was, this is insane. But I wanted to dig into the science a little bit to see where I was wrong, because I think that's kind of important. Maybe there's something to all this. I don't know yet, but I'm going to kind of dig into this with you today. So this basic philosophy occurred in the 1970s and was influenced by an educator named John Holt. Now, I will say an educator. From my research, John was a temporary educator. He was a teacher for 5 or 6 years, and then he wrote a lot of books and created a career around that. So I don't know if calling him an educator, I think it gives it clout and it gives it knowledge, but I'm really nervous about titles, because, somebody could say they're a doctor, but a doctor in what, right? Somebody could say they're a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. It doesn't mean I'm a great lawyer at everything, right? There's lots. I don't know patent law. I don't know healthcare law. I don't have any idea about those subjects. So I get a little nervous about this term educator, right? Is he an educator? Did he spend his life educating? Did he spend his life? Well, maybe so. He wrote a lot of books on the subject. And his main premise that Holt argued was traditional education suppresses a child's natural curiosity, and that learning should be flexible, organic, and driven by the learner's own motivations. Well, that's the premise. So let's kind of start with that. So let's talk about the good. Let's talk about the potential positives that I'm going to call it unschooling, but free schooling, whatever it may be, right? Whatever people call it. So the first concept, and there are 4 primary concepts behind this unschooling trend, and one is child-led learning. Well, that out of the box makes me want to lose my mind. Okay, we have a number. I dealt with employees for over the years, and man, this phrase, I've heard multiple people use this phrase. I don't do math. But you got to do math. I mean, you don't have to do calculus. You don't have to do algebra, but you got to do math. Like, you got to be able to balance a checkbook. You got to be able to put some things into a spreadsheet every now and then. You got to be able to do like basic arithmetic. And so the fact that you don't like it is irrelevant to your ability to function in society, right? I don't do science. I don't do science. Well, you got to know some of it if you want to be like an awesome person. You got to know fundamentally a big Mildred, I didn't say the words right? A hodgepodge of subjects so that you can at least get a flavor and a taste for what's out there in the world so that you have a very eclectic view on society. So I don't know what they mean by child-led learning, but it does make me a little nervous because the theory that's out there where these unschoolers, and maybe some of them are different, but this is the theory that they're going with, all right, is that it's based on their natural tendencies. Well, I, as a kid, I wanted to play golf and ride my bike and not go to school and not learn math, not learn science, not learn the law. I didn't want to do much of that. It wasn't only until years later that I began to develop a massive curiosity for learning. But had I not had the basic foundation that my family forced me to get, not because I wanted to, and if you've got children, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know that natural learners, absolutely. Curious, absolutely. And the schools, homeschool, public schools, traditional, charter school, whatever they are, should direct that natural learning and curiosity. And there should be some vehicles and openings for that in every form of education, in my opinion, right? But the entire framework of their education around this, I don't know. Let's see what the research says, right? So the number 2 thing is they say that learning should be hands-on. It should be experience-based, right? So experience-based learning. Well, cooking, gardening, building, traveling, engaging the communities, those are all dope. That sounds like, wait, I like this, man. I like this. I think that this is true. I think that you should have fundamentally the stuff that you don't want to do. Learning's hard. Being better is hard. Change hurts. I get it, right? Then obviously, like traveling and, like this traveling thing. So one of the things that we did, I guess you got 2 lawyers as parents. I don't know. When we traveled, and maybe it's because I was just lazy, I'd be like, our young daughter at like the age of like 8 or 9 had to figure out all the travel out. She had to get on the phone. She had to book. She had to go on the internet. She had to figure out where we're going. She had to book it. And then when we'd get off the plane, my wife used to get real mad. I'd make her find like the baggage claim and then, the rental cars or whatever. And she'd go in the wrong direction sometimes and just wait. Just let her wander around. Let her figure it out, right? It takes patience. It takes time. And I think that really taught her that she can get anywhere around the world right now. She's 19. She can get anywhere around the world now comfortably, right? So I think that that's awesome. I do agree with that, but I don't think that should be limited to unschooling or no schooling, right? Everybody should do that. The third one is it indicates that the parental figure should be the facilitator. That's great. I think that's great. I think that the parental figure should be the facilitator of a lot of education. But there is a problem with this. There's a fundamental problem with this. And the problem is parents don't know everything. I mean, let's be real about that. I cannot teach my daughter calculus. I can't teach her algebra, all right? I could teach her algebra. And she needed those skills for what ended up being her chosen career, right? Or soon to be chosen career. I can teach her some things. I can teach her history. I can teach her the law. I can teach her how to research and how to be an industrial psychologist type thing. But my daughter needs a lot more than what I as a person or my wife as a person can individually train. Now, homeschooling, different videos, structured text. The parent's the facilitator for sure. But the background and the knowledge the facilitator facilitates education in the child and the facilitator's in the middle. That is not what unschoolers, I think. Unschooling is the child says, I want to learn about this. And what if the parent doesn't know those subjects? What do they do then? I don't know, because it's not homeschool. Let's don't confuse the topics, okay? And so the fourth thing is emphasize on individuality and freedom. I love it. Okay, so maybe I'm getting to be maybe I'm 60% a fan of unschooling right now because freedom, America. I love the freedom. Freedom's cool, man. But children shouldn't be allowed to have freedom in every decision or they would, not all of them, a lot of them would drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes and do drugs and not go to school and party and be silly. And play video games 9 to 12 hours a day because video games are awesome. They're awesome. And why would I want to learn about the Constitution or the Bill of Rights and how that freedom works if I can play a video game, man? Because video games are dope. They're fun, man. So nowhere in here does it say a block on, but we will not let them do these kind of activities because that's structure. And I think that what I'm getting to feel is that homeschooling has nothing to do with structure. And I think that that's terribly dangerous. Okay, so let's talk about outcomes in the research. Let's talk about what do we know from the science on whether it works or doesn't work. Okay, and so here's what I found out. Data on homeschooling is limited. Go figure, right? And see, I am biased. I'm still biased. I'm hanging on to it. And so if you really disagree and you think that unschooling is dope, send me something. Send me some data, man. I'll cut another video. Give me something, because I couldn't find anything that explained that this is also, there's some anecdotal information I found, like feelings. I like feelings, but feelings is not what you base an educational model on, because feelings are anecdotal, okay? So self-directed learning can show a level of autonomy, independence, and I think that's probably true, but they don't have any evidence of that. Okay, so the one thing that a lot of people are claiming right now, is they're saying that it's a big movement and it's gaining traction in the United States. It's gaining traction. Well, so is the movement that the earth is flat, but it don't make it any good. Yeah, right. The earth ain't flat. All right. And I wonder if these unschoolers or no schoolers are the ones leading that movement too. All right. Because just because there's a movement doesn't make it good. All right. So we got to be careful with letting titles make us like somebody has a great title and we believe everything they say. Don't do that. Be suspect. And if a movement like the flat earth is getting movement and traction, it doesn't mean it's right. So that ain't real evidence neither. That ain't real no evidence. And okay, so look, somebody that's a non-schooler is getting mad right now. Okay, show me the data, man. I'm down. I'm here to learn, and I couldn't find anything, and I did the research. All right, well, maybe not enough of it. So prove me wrong. I'm down for it. So, the supporters of the no school concept in a lot of blogs and statements are arguing that traditional schools often fail to adapt to modern needs like creativity and critical skills that are rapidly needed in the world today. Man, that's true. They are 100% right, is that most of the traditional school models are failing to adapt as quick as they need to. And I do think, and I just finished my third book, right? Really, I sound really fancy right now. And I really dig into this subject that we have to let our schools increase the ability to do creative, critical thinking skills and not just teach to the test. And I'm going to get into that on future videos. So they ain't wrong, but it doesn't mean that unschooling is the answer. You see the connection, like they say a premise. They say, well, their schools aren't doing it. Well, instead of working with the schools that have structure, stability, experts, smart educators, profound staff that love the kids, that want to get them to do better. And trust me, everybody working in public schools wants those kids to get better. They ain't making enough money. All right. So let's be real on that. All right. So instead of getting on board, rowing in the same direction and getting a structured model that creates critical thinking skills, they just make the premise that they're not doing it. So we're going to run another way. Well, okay. Well, then what's your expertise? Parents, facilitators, what's your expertise to create critical thinking skills? I have got some chops in that because of the United States Army. Okay. And then I got a doctorate degree, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably still not an expert. Well, I'm absolutely not an expert in tons of subjects. I couldn't unschool, but critical thinking I can teach. Okay. And problem solving. Absolutely. I love that stuff. But I like the military, that's where my education, that background comes. So somebody with no critical thinking, problem solving skills is going to have a hard time facilitating to teach somebody critical thinking and problem solving skills. And just saying that you're unschooled and they're just going to wander around and figure things out. Yeah, they'll create some autonomy. Yes, they will learn how to problem solve. If you throw a person in the woods, if they find their way out, they solve some problems. So I guess there is a little bit of something to that, but you better have a framework for it. I don't see the science and just letting them figure it out. Okay, so the criticisms, because we got to do both sides. I really feel like I'm still extremely biased about this, is there is some studies, and I'm going to put some links in here. There are gaps in academic foundations. Yeah, because some people don't want to learn science and they want to believe the earth is flat, or they want to say the dinosaurs didn't exist because they didn't see them, right? Like, I get it, man. Like, I don't know, go dig in, man. You got to go do the research, right? Socialization challenges. There are some people that say that there are socialization challenges with the unschooled. I don't know if that's a good criticism. I think that just like in homeschooling or small community schools, you can build your own community. You can still get out there and socialize. So this particular criticism of unschooled, I don't think is valid, because people can build their own community. And by the way, you can go to public schools or charter schools or private schools and still have no community. You can go to school and leave and not talk to anybody. So either way, socialization challenges are there for the entire world. So I don't think that can be dumped just on no schooling, right? Another criticism is that it highly depends on parental involvement. That, I don't know if that's a criticism. If the parents are highly involved and they really want to increase their education and they want to bring in experts or find expertise to teach it, I think that can be overcome. I got two more criticisms. One was a lack of formal assessment and accountability. I don't know, man. I mean, like Montessori schools and other forms. I mean, now even colleges don't require you to take, the ACT or the SAT test. And so lack of formal assessments is not the end of the world if you are actually training people that can adapt and grow, can read and write, and have fundamental understanding that science exists and that history is important. That I think could be overcome. All right. So if all that can be done, right? So, and then the last one is transition and future academic careers. And they kind of dog out unschoolers and probably homeschoolers too, for that matter, for the child may lack their credentials. Well, we hire people here at our company. Credentials, kind of important. Experience is more important. Problem solving is critical. And if you were homeschooled or a Montessori school, like, look, let's give you a test to determine if you can figure out that problem or whether or not you're going to melt, right? So some of the issues could be a problem. Some of them, I don't know. But I think that the biggest issue is that a lot of it's all anecdotal information. Some people claim that they're unschooled and they're really doing great in society. And there's a study by Gray and Riley that was in 2015 on this. And they said that lots of unschoolers report that they have strong personal responsibility, independent self-motivation. That's great. The question is, statistically speaking, how did those families do it? Those families are that anecdotal evidence. And then, by the way, if you took that and other no schoolers did the same format, that's a structure. So pretty soon that starts to turn into homeschools, right? That's not unschoolers, right? There was a structure I bet those parents carried out. And I bet they had really good parental models, really good facilitators that gave them structure. It wasn't just free-range chickens out there running around, okay? So, because there's a lot of anecdotal information too that a lot of these unschoolers indicate that they don't have the foundational skills to operate in society. They don't know how to do math, right? They are depression, social isolation issues, difficulties integrating into conventional peer groups, right? I mean, group work stinks, but we got to do it. And you got to be forced to learn how to do it. And traditional schools do that. They make you do the things that are difficult so you can be a successful adult. So it's all anecdotal. And I would say that if you're into this, man, you better be careful. So, but what I want to do now is I want to actually respond, and they gave me two TikToks to respond to. So let's get into it. So she starts off the title with how to unschool correctly. So this is absolutely on unschooling. She's talking about unschooling, not homeschooling. Let's separate those out and let's see what happens. All right.
Until I pull my child out of public school and start unschooling him. He will be in second grade. But I want to share some things with you guys that I'm going to be doing to make sure that I don't f up his education or f up his future.
Okay, we're gonna have to find a way to beep that out. But she said the F-bomb a little bit. Jack's gonna have to get that correct up, and we're gonna have to block this little thing out. But I'm a little nervous. She seems to be a little hot. Maybe she's really mad. I hope she's not teaching her second grader those words. All right, let's go on.
Some of you guys in my comments, not all of you, most people in my comments actually are homeschooling or unschooling, and I love that. We built this.
No. We don't get to put the concepts together. You're homeschooling or you're unschooling. You're saying you're unschooling. So it's funny. It is funny how people will try to lump themselves together with better models as if that like legitimizes what they're talking about. So I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong yet. She dropped some F-bombs. Maybe that's what TikTok needs, right? I don't know. I've cussed, so hey, I hope she's not doing her second grader. I probably messed that up when I was young too. So no judgment, no judgment on unschooling yet, but we don't get to lump in unschooling with homeschooling. One has structure, one according to John Holt, no structure. All right, so let's just check.
Community of people, this community of like women that really just think the same, and I love that. Like that's been my goal this entire time with this platform is can we create a community of people that all think the same, and we've done that. So tell me in the comments if you
Okay, now we talked about that earlier, a community of people that all think the same. Well, it doesn't mean the thing they're thinking is right. So now, it doesn't mean it's wrong either, but it don't make it right. I can get a community of, I'm just going to stay in the flat earth world. I can get a community of flat earthers and we can all just drink the same Kool-Aid together. It doesn't make any of them right. Sorry. So a community, so far, I just want to know what she's going to do with the unschooling to see if maybe she's really doing homeschooling. All right, let's find out.
Homeschool or unschool, what are your best practices, your best
Please stop calling them both. They're not the same.
Okay, so a couple of things that I'm going to be doing are prioritizing to make sure that I don't up his education and he learns the skills he needs to be a successful adult.
I love that. Sorry, Jack, you're gonna have to bleep out a lot of stuff, I think. But she did talk about the future of the kid, so she seems to have her priorities straight. That's good for her. All right.
Lots of time outside. This is going to allow his creativity to flow, letting children be children and not setting them in front of a.
Okay, so man, she continues to cuss a lot, and I think I'm gonna have to shut this one down in a second. But it sounds like it's a boy. And outside time, energy, movement there's a lot of science that is a really good thing to do. So really good thing to do.
Desk or a piece of paper or a book for 8 hours a day is the best way to get their creativity flowing. And that matters in life, especially when you're trying to do something that you love. I'm going to take him grocery shopping. We're going to start a garden, doing lots of gardening, lots of hands-on stuff to teach him these things.
Okay. Love all this. Love her. I love all this. I mean, outside, hands-on stuff with mama learning. Hopefully when she's in the grocery store, she's teaching how to, pick and spend money and look at calorie counts and all those other things. And gardening, man, awesome sauce, man. Learning soil composition, learning, what makes things grow in different temperate zones. That would all be awesome if she's going to do all that. I like where she's going.
Things, not just reading out of a book.
Okay, now look. I'm an old Army guy. I cuss a lot. But, oh my goodness, man. I mean, could you imagine teachers just dropping F-bombs this much in the classroom all the time? I know what they're going to learn then. So, man, she didn't ask me for any advice, man, but, you might, okay. Let's make sure we're staying on that future thing, which I really liked her doing, all right?
Cool. So I'm going to also teach him about money. That goes into grocery shopping, okay? I'm going to teach him how to be frugal, teach him how to shop for the things that he needs, not always what he wants. I'm going to teach him how to set boundaries with people. I'm going to teach him how to create friendships and connections with people.
So she's going to address the community issues. That's good. That's awesome.
I'm going to teach him how to bake and cook. Do you know how many adults there are right now that 30, 40 years old don't know how to cook?
Okay. Yeah. Golly, those F-bombs make me even blush. And I cuss like a sailor. Is she's not wrong. But you can do this with a traditional education in a form. Like, man, I remember I had my daughter, I got a flat on my big truck. And I said, baby, we're changing this tire. We ain't calling AA. We're, AAA or whatever it was. And I go, we're going to change this tire. Now, about 30 minutes into it, I knew we had made a mistake because the tires were so much heavier and larger than I remember as a kid. Like changing a trailer tire is one thing, but we got it done, man. I mean, we got it done. And what she learned is she needs to have a AAA membership. I think that's what she learned that day. All right. So I think these concepts she's talking about are right.
Which is crazy to me. Okay. After a certain point, you can't blame your parents for that shit no more. You can learn. All right. We're also going to be doing lots of sports. So he'll be in any sport, every sport that we can.
Okay. Sports. Okay. So far, this is nothing different than regular education. The one thing that I'm not hearing is math, science, history. Okay. Let's just talk about some of those fundamentals. English, writing, reading. She didn't mention that yet. Maybe she gets to it.
can possibly think of, because we will now have time to do so. I'll be taking them to the aquarium and zoos and learning through life experiences. And that is what unschooling is. Now, a lot of people think that unschooling, and people will say unschooling is giving your child autonomy over what they want to learn. And yes, that is true.
Okay, now hold on. You don't get to say but. I think she's going to say but. But the entire foundation of this movement is what she just said. Let's see.
But if you sit there and say, what do you want to learn today? And your kid goes, I don't really want to learn today. It's not your job to say, okay, that's fine. No, we're learning something today, but what do you want to learn first? Okay, that's how I'm approaching it. I'm not going to give my child.
Oh, now I'm not on the reservation anymore. If it's always their choice, they're never going to pick science. I mean, maybe like some science experiments, but you got to warm them up. Man, you got to do fun little games, and like Bill Nye the Science Guy when I was a kid, do fun little games that get you interested in it, right? I mean, if you want to learn to be a prolific reader and writer, you first have to learn how to write and read. Just saying, that's kind of a fundamental, okay? So this is unschooling. They pick whatever they want to do, and I know it's a boy. I get it. The need for sports, outdoor recs, hunting, fishing, gardening, all that stuff, that's all they're going to focus on. So I'm starting to have a little bit of a rub about the future of this kid.
Child full autonomy over dictating his entire education or his entire little baby life, because if he chose, he would choose to do nothing. Okay. But I will have lots of stuff planned out for us to do physically, hands-on stuff. And I believe this is going to be the best thing I've probably ever done for my kids. And I'm really excited. I'm going to record everything.
Okay. I'm going to keep track of this, because the one thing that she didn't indicate at all, and this is what makes me terribly nervous about all this, is she didn't say, hey, I'm going to suggest that today we work on math. Now, like she talked about the grocery store, we're going to do some math. That's dope, man. So instead of spending 30 or 45 minutes at the grocery store, I would imagine you're going to spend 2 hours, because you're going to slow down and you're going to really pull out the calculator or make them physically have a paper and pen and say, well, this costs this. How much is it going to cost at the end? You got $100. Let's kind of do the math before we get up there so we know if we have enough money. So you better, what I didn't hear is she's going to slow everything down. Maybe she's going to do that, but slow everything down, take about 2 hours, right? Go through it and really teach math. Maybe that's going to happen, and we'll find out. But the stuff I didn't hear is, man, if they don't ever want to learn history, I'm going to make them learn history. Like, I'm going to make them start the journey. It's the starting of journeys that get people to long-term success, right? So I didn't hear that. So let's do one more, all right? So I'm gonna jump right to this next one. And so this one is titled, let me back it up just a little bit, Free School. So she refers to it as free school. Okay, so we know we're in the right space. So let's check it out.
So we don't teach our children anything.
She doesn't mean they don't teach. Okay, I think she's just being, let's give her a break. Mom, I'm sure she didn't mean we're not teaching them anything. Okay, I'm gonna back it up because I almost vomited right now. Okay.
So we don't teach our children anything. Everything that they learn is in response to either their interests or their questions.
Same problem.
We have no curriculum. We have no school hours. We really just respond whenever they want to know something and do our best to make sure they really get it. And my big fear about free schooling was that if my kids only went towards what they were interested in, saving all of their real estate only for things they're interested in, not cramming it with anything necessary, I was concerned that they would never be interested in things like reading and writing and math. My son's 6, and it took some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp. Egg.
Wait. I got to back up. Did she say he was 6? 6. Hold on. Let me back this up.
Some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book.
Wait, I got to figure out the age because I think I missed that. Hold on.
Interested in things like reading and writing and math. My son's 6, and it took some patience and not comparing myself to other moms, but this is his book. Look at this. Lamp. Egg.
No. This, I don't know what to do now. Is this a spoof? I think I'm being trolled right now. This is a joke, right? Because she said 6. That is 6. I'm a little, I'm about to have a coronary, I think, because 6-year-olds should be able to write in simplistic sentences, right? Yes, right. That wasn't a proper word. That wasn't a proper word on a page, and the kid's 6. The kid's 6. Oh, no. No. This is it. This is the ones I'm sorry. I'm nervous now. I'm really scared about this kid's future. I bet the mom and the family loves the kid. I bet they want the best for the kid. But they will not learn how to read and write. And by the time, there's a lot of science on this, man. If they haven't learned how to read and write really proficiently by like the 3rd grade, it's game over. I mean, it is brutal to learn those fundamental skills the later in life you go. The reason why you get children in homes that can speak multiple languages because they grew up speaking multiple languages. But after 8, 9, 10, it gets harder and harder and harder to learn those new languages. And if you haven't mastered your primary language by the time you're in 3rd grade, okay. Basically, let me say this. I'm really nervous. I'm going to do some follow-ups on this unschooling movement. I don't like movements. I like things that are going to reach for children's academic and long-term success. And unschooling, not homeschooling, is not the same thing. This is stressing me out now, and I am nervous that those kids are going to get to be 18, 19, 25 years old. They're going to want to get a job, and they're not going to be able to read or write sentences. They're going to have no view on history. They're going to think the earth is flat because they never asked to be taught that the earth wasn't. You know what I mean? And they're learning things on TikTok. And, I'm out.